In this lesson, we'll begin building our character's eyes. Alright, so in the previous lesson, we used the blob brush to paint in some of this hair, and I've gone ahead and cleaned that up between lessons, and at this point we're going to shift our attention over and begin creating the eyes for our character. So, the first thing I notice as I zoom in on her face here is kind of this clean line that we've placed here for her bangs over her eyes. So, if I jump into outline mode and look at that, we can zoom in really nice and close on that, and you can see that we have this sort of jagged edge here, and that straight line is really going to be kind of distracting as I work on the eyes. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and select our shape on that hair layer, and I'm going to come over here and we're going to look underneath the width tool, and I'm going to grab the wrinkle tool here. Rather than come in and actually manually place anchor points and configure every little jagged edge of her bangs, I think that the wrinkle tool is going to be a really nice tool for us here. So let's go ahead and double click on the tool itself here, and you can see here that our brush preview was rather large, and that's because we have it set to 1.39 inch diameter brush tips. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down. Let's go ahead and drop this down to something fairly small, say 10 points for both the width and the height here. Now there's a lot of other options here. I'm not going to necessarily get into all those, but let's go ahead and hit OK and see where that puts our brush. That actually is a much more manageable size here. So the wrinkle tool is really nice because it's going to begin wrinkling this path as we brush over it here. So I'm going to start right over here, and I'm going to just start wrinkling this path as I brush over. So you can see here as I brush over one time, we've created a lot of extra anchor points there. So if I jump out of outline mode, you can kind of see how wrinkled that edge really is. Let me go ahead and just click off that here. And you can kind of see we've got a little bit of wrinkling going on there. So if we go ahead and brush over that again, we're going to get even more wrinkling. And a few more times ought to get us exactly where we're going for. Alright, that looks pretty good. I think that'll work for right now. We may work a little bit more on that later. Let's go ahead and shift our attention to her eyes. So I'll go ahead and lock that hair layer. Let's unlock the head layer here. I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen tool by hitting the keyboard shortcut P. And I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in here on her left eye. Now, as we've zoomed in here, you'll notice here that we've got a little bit of her eye that's actually covered by her bangs. We're going to worry about that here in just a little bit, but now a female eye is really defined by the eyeliner that surrounds it. This large dark line that comes mostly above the eye on the upper eyelid and then down below. So I'm going to go ahead and start by using my pen tool to create just that shape. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to begin tracing around sort of the top edge of the eyeliner here. And let's go ahead and just zoom in nice and close here. Now, it's kind of hard to make out exactly where the edge of that eyeliner is, so I'm going to come over here and we'll pull it in right about there. Now, I'm going to switch to my direct selection tool here for just a moment. I'm going to tweak this up some. And back to the pen tool. We'll pull that anchor point right back out here. Just kind of massage that into position. I'm going to shrink that Bezier in just a little bit here. Alright, now I'm going to come in and create just a little bit of a point right about here. I'm going to come in right about like so. I'm going to swing that anchor point or that Bezier handle down below by holding down the Alt key. And we're going to bring in an edge right around in here. So let's go ahead and stop that right about here. And I'm going to send that back right around there. We'll just kind of tweak that edge up just a little bit here. Alright, so zooming in really close on our eye, I know we're seeing some pixels at this point, but just kind of planning out my next stroke here. So looking here, I may come in and let's go ahead and bring one in right about here. And then I want to bring another one in right over here. Right about there. Now I may just move that around just a little bit here. We can always tweak these up some here in just a little bit, but I'm going to bring this in right about to, let's go and drop it in right about there. Then I'll come in and I'm working my way towards the inside of her eye here at this point. Now, it's kind of hard to see the very corner of her eye right here, so I'm going to do my best to just sort of guess where that is. I want to say it's going to be right about there. And we'll just tweak that anchor point or that Bezier a little. And let's go ahead and spin this one around by holding down the Alt key. And we'll come over here and drop one in right about there. And we'll drop one in right about there. Just close that path off. There we go. Now at this point, I do want to grab my Convert Anchor Point tool by hitting Shift-C, and I'm going to go ahead and reposition the Bezier handles for this particular anchor point right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull those out right about there. We're going to break that one free, send it up right about there, like so. And at this point, it's just going to be about kind of massaging this into position, making sure that this is a nice clean arc right here, nice gradual increase in thickness as it wraps around her eye. And let's go ahead and zoom out here. That looks pretty good. You know, I'm looking here at the bottom of it, kind of around in this area, and I may come in and just kind of bring this up just a little bit further here. Just kind of hug that up right up against that lower edge of her lower eyelid there. All right, that's looking pretty good, I think. So at this point, we've created this eyeliner shape, and I may come in and tweak that just a little bit more to get it exactly where I want to, but at this point, let's go ahead and create sort of the next shape of the eye. Let's go ahead and focus on creating sort of the white of the eye right here. So let me come in here and just reposition this one anchor point just a little bit. I think we got it a little low. Right about there. Just kind of looking at the white of her eye. Let me go ahead and grab the pen tool again here. Let's just go ahead and start right about here, and we'll bring this down towards her tear duct just a little bit. Go ahead and bring it down right about there. Sort of turn that corner, sort of like that. Just kind of repositioning my anchor points as I pull out the Bezier handles by holding the space bar. There we go. Looking pretty good at this point. Gonna get that one right about there on that path. And we'll start bringing this back up here. And I'm going to go ahead and hold my Alt key and turn a corner here. Let's go ahead and bring this back up here like so. And we'll just close that path off. All right, great. Now we'll just come in and clean that up just a little bit here. We'll zoom in here nice and tight. Pull these Bezier handles back just a little bit around in this area. Kind of tightening up that area where it's the white of her eye is kind of intersecting with the tear duct. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. Now, I want to go ahead and make sure my smart guides are turned on by hitting Control U, and I'm going to go ahead and snap this anchor point right here to that anchor point. Now, if we jump out of outline mode and look at that, it's just going to look like two black shapes there, kind of bordering each other. I tell you what, let's go ahead and give this one a different color. Let's go ahead and give the white of her eye a white color for right now. And let's go ahead and grab the black shape here, and let's bring that to the front by hitting Control, Shift, and closed bracket. All right, great. We'll just kind of bounce in and out of outline mode here just to sort of get a good read on exactly how that's looking. And I may come down here and just sharpen up this corner just a little bit more right here. Just like so. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now, I'm looking at this, and I think I've got this anchor point a little too far out to the right, so we'll pull that in just a little bit here. Maybe pull that one up just a hair. And we'll tighten that up just a little bit as well. Sometimes the smart guides can actually get in your way, so I usually cycle in and out of having those turned on just by hitting Control U on my keyboard. Alright, great. So I'm going to jump back into outline mode here. We're going to grab my pen tool, and we're going to do one last thing here. We're going to kind of draw in sort of this ellipse shape around the center of her eye here. So we'll go ahead and just draw that in really quickly here. Just like so. And let's go ahead and bring this around sort of like that. Alright, great. So we've drawn in the center of her eye. We've got all the major shapes of the eye drawn out for the most part here. Now at this point it's really just going to be a matter of bringing in some additional shapes and applying some coloration here. And then beginning to think about highlights and shadows around the eye. So in the next lesson we're going to pick up where we're leaving off here, and we're going to continue building our character's left eye.